records, I'm sure. And the Prime Minister visits her once a week. So she is privy to confidential information that no one else is going to be seeing. Not that she would see everything. I'm sure there's a lot they never show her. Or the person who's in charge at that time for having that role. But the fact that it's a public role where you can use your position or voice to sort of lean to point towards a group, or maybe try to help a group when needed, or when it's thought by some group that it's needed. And because she is privy to these papers and this information, I'm positive that that's why the United States, that's what the United States is interested in. They want someone in who is going to be giving that information to them. I think that's the only reason. There's really, you know, it's not like she's the most talented person in the world. Kate Middleton, I mean, no offense. But there are many, many women that are very bright, very talented, artistic, organized, effective businesswomen, very pretty, who have very good values and don't snort cocaine. And there are women who have psychic abilities, you know, as well, which the government is also interested in, or who are intuitive. I mean, it's just, you can look at how things are structured from the time people are kids, and it's like there are a couple of options, and then people are willing to kill to get the one they want, where they want them to be. And there, like I said, there's no reason why the U.S. would do these horrific things to their own people and then be supporting somebody in a totally different country unless they're getting information out of it, or unless they believe in the future they definitely are going to be getting information and coming into power in their own way. The only other thing is that it's very clear that there is a mafia involved. That's not some sort of a random wild statement for me to make. It's a fact. It's not that the Middleton's family has already been exposed to have connections to drug dealing. And I don't think it was low-key, small-time drug dealing. And I don't think that it has just quit. So, you know, her uncle, they were staying for weeks at a time with her uncle, who was dealing drugs. He wasn't just using drugs. He wasn't just a user. He was a dealer. And if you're a dealer in a family that has, by that time, a little bit more money, you're getting promoted by a mafia, because that's what backs the drug business. I mean, not everybody who uses drugs is going to be part of a mafia, but most people who start doing higher-end drug dealing are directly connected to a mafia, because that's who runs the drug industry. And different mafias take on different things. Who knows, there are probably some mafias that don't even deal with drugs at all. They're just like, we don't want to deal with drugs. This is our other black market industry that we're going to work on. And maybe they work on other things. I specialize only in sort of mild money laundering, or only in casinos, or only in a little bit of sort of what they call lightweight human trafficking. I mean, I have no idea. But, you know, and then governments work with mafias sometimes in black arms trade and drug trades. So whichever mafia it is that's involved, the United States is covering that too. Because the United States, when they're promoting someone like her, and then torturing people who say anything negative about it, you know, when they find out after all these years that it's not like the main thing maybe, but there is a connection to them. The United States government is also concealing information that they have about what mafia her family is part of. So it's pretty obvious that the United Kingdom had an interest in me all the way back in 1995, because that's when some of them thought it was hilarious that I had just had had this surgery, and they knew what had happened to me. They joked about it, and they had the Teletubbies running until 2002 when I filed my first lawsuit. And I think about the time that I filed my first lawsuit, someone worried that maybe they just didn't want to be so... I mean, I didn't care about really pop culture. I really didn't know what was going on around me. But about that time, they probably thought, I think we might quit. We might just try to quietly go around the corner and disappear. That was about the time I knew a couple of lawyers, too. That maybe they, you know, people just want to... if they think that you're starting to... You might get involved with the legal system, and you're doing something productive in that way, and if they think that you might eventually figure out what has happened to you, or maybe someone told you, those kinds of people suddenly don't want to be so noticeable. Like June Smith from Texas, who took a Church of England job. And all of a sudden, after I filed my writ of habeas corpus alleging torture by the United States, when she knows that she and her own husband are responsible for some of that because they were running the University of Utah, which oversees that hospital at the time that this happened to me. And she knew people because of her position in California, and people that I knew that didn't like me, who were close to her. She kind of quietly stepped down from her job. Because, you know, Church of England job doesn't look very good for her when, you know, why would it be a Church of England promotion for them? Unless it's true, what I say, that people have done favors for the Middleton family, for the United Kingdom, and they are United States citizens, and they are United States officials. So the two small pieces of information that I wanted to bring up today, this morning, because I'll make more than one post this morning. One is that when I mentioned that I did go to a hospital after I was raped by Josh Gatov in 1998. And it was a woman who saw me, and that was the first time I checked the box for yes, I've been sexually assaulted. And she asked me about that, and I told her I'd been raped. And then I guess she made a note in my chart about it. I didn't ask her to, and I didn't write that down in my chart, but she did. After I told her. And then I was told that, well, basically I was told I had no STDs. You know, I mean, that's what I was worried about. And then sometime after that I was told to, continue follow-up because of what had happened to me. And when I did, I got sent to Oregon City, Oregon. It was a medical clinic in Oregon City, and the woman that I was seeing was Dr. O'Halloran. And Dr. O'Halloran, I believe, is, from what I looked up, she is FBI. So that was another person right off the bat that I got connected to right after I was raped. My doctor that was assigned to me through my health care was Dr. O'Halloran. And that's O-Halloran, I think. And she said that she thought, she did like a regular woman's exam and said that she thought that maybe there was an abnormality, but maybe there wasn't. Something came back from a lab. It was caused a lot of anxiety in me because it, I had a stress already. And I went to, so then she told me she wanted me to see a specialist. And I went to this specialist who was also in Oregon City, at a larger hospital in Oregon City, and it was another woman. And this woman basically said, well, she did an examination again, and then she said that I needed to have a colposcopy done, which is a biopsy. Basically, for those who are not very familiar with women's anatomy, inside the woman's part in the opening, if you go all the way, start going all the way upside, sort of there's like a wall in the back, and it's circular. It's a circular kind of like, sounds weird to say it this way, but it's just kind of like a circular stopper, and it's called the cervix. And basically it's closed up very tightly so that no kinds of infections can enter your body. And the only time that the cervix, it will sometimes, basically, when someone becomes pregnant, the sperm from the man is so small, it's so tiny, that it's able, some of it is able to get past this very, very tightly closed cervix. And then it travels through the fallopian tubes. These are these tubes that then extend from that area up into the ovaries where the egg is, and then they try to fertilize an egg and you might have a baby, that kind of thing. And the only time that that cervix is opens is if you're having a baby. Otherwise it's very tightly closed. And it opens to allow passage, your hormones relax the muscles, and then it opens to allow passage of this baby's head and the body and everything. And it's very important that that cervix is protected, because if you don't have if your cervix is not tight, is not normal as it should be, and tightly closed as it is typically for women, then while you're carrying a baby with this great pressure, and as gravity is, and with the baby and that pressure pushing up against your cervix, if it's not strong enough and tightly closed, then you can be in danger of having the baby prematurely. From 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, the heavier that the baby gets, the worse it's going to be. So they call that, if the cervix is weakened in any way, they call it cervical incompetence.